After Barcelona's extremely important 2-1 victory against Frankfurt, a win that secured 3 more fundamental points for the Catalan club in the overall Champions League standings and further increased the confidence of fans who were already beginning to see clear evolution in Hansi Flick's work, it was Real Madrid's turn to take the field for a duel that many people classified as one of the most anticipated matches of this group stage. After all, we're talking about two giants, two clubs that won the last 2 editions of the Champions League, and precisely for this reason there was gigantic expectation about the clash between Real Madrid and Manchester City, a clash that promised much intensity, much balance and very high-level football, but which ended up surprising many people with the unexpected outcome it had at the Santiago Bernabéu, where Real Madrid simply couldn't sustain the advantage they opened at the beginning of the match and ended up being defeated 2-1, in a comeback, at home, in front of their own fans, something that instantly became the subject of heavy criticism from Madrid fans and press, who were already not at all satisfied with the team's recent performance. And when we analyze all the context around this match, we realize that Real Madrid's situation was already worrying even before the ball rolled, because the team was coming from a painful 2-0 defeat to Celta Vigo in La Liga, a match where the Merengues' performance was very poor, especially in the offensive sector, which barely managed to finish dangerously, and this greatly shook the squad's confidence, even more so having Manchester City ahead, one of the strongest clubs in the world, which was riding high after a comfortable 3-0 victory against Sunderland in the Premier League, showing that they arrived for the duel with high morale and with the complete team, something Real Madrid didn't have, since to make matters worse, the club couldn't count on their most decisive player and top scorer of the season, Kylian Mbappé, who was injured, and automatically this made the fans less confident, because even with a squad full of stars, playing without the main striker against a team as strong as City is something that naturally makes everything much more difficult. Real Madrid's phase really isn't good in this, whether you like it or not, ends up benefiting Barcelona, who watch their biggest rival stumbling repeatedly and opening space for the Catalan club to grow, gain confidence and compete for higher positions in all competitions, because the more Real Madrid fails, the more opportunity Barcelona has to shoot ahead in the leadership or gain advantage in the Champions League, and this leaves the atmosphere even more tense in Madrid, where the main target of criticism at this moment is coach Xabi Alonso, who arrived with much expectation, but with each match demonstrates less capacity to command a club as giant as Real Madrid, making those fans who previously defended his permanence now campaign for him to leave the position as quickly as possible. And the most curious thing is that many CULÉS fans are actually rooting for Xabi Alonso's permanence, because they believe his weak work is directly favoring Barcelona, so there's even a kind of inverse support for Real Madrid not to fire the coach, since this would keep the merengue club in crisis and would further increase Barcelona's chances of standing out in the season. After the round was completed, the overall Champions League standings were updated, and now, after Barcelona's victory and Real Madrid's defeat, the scenario became even more interesting, because Barcelona appears in 15th place with 10 points and Real Madrid in 7th place with 12 points, which means that only 2 points separate the two clubs, and considering there are still 2 matches left until the end of the group stage, Barcelona has full conditions to reach the top 8. Something that seemed difficult at the beginning of the campaign, but which has now become totally possible thanks to the growing performance of the Catalan team and the constant stumbles of the merengue rival. Now entering another subject that is literally setting social media on fire and dividing opinions between Barcelona and Real Madrid fans, because a player that both clubs wanted publicly announced that he prefers Barcelona, something that left merengue fans completely irritated, since they believed they were ahead in the dispute, but ended up getting a cold shower in recent hours, and this generated a true atmosphere of tension behind the scenes, with sports journalists and commentators insistently debating about how this decision can influence the dispute between the two giants of Spanish football in the coming months, because in addition to affecting Real Madrid's morale, it also places Barcelona in an advantageous position in the transfer window, and even more, it increases pressure on merengue directors who now need to race against time to seek quality alternatives, avoiding staying behind a rival that already demonstrates clear strategy and assertive hiring capacity. As everyone already knows, both Barcelona and Real Madrid are in the market looking for a new centre-back to reinforce their defences, since both have been facing problems in this sector, but what nobody imagined is that the two would be interested in the same player, and even less that this player would reveal so clearly which is the club of his heart, because to the enormous frustration of the merengues, Nico Schlatterbeck, a 26-year-old German defender, stated that he dreams of playing for Barcelona, that he has always followed the club's style, that he deeply admires its philosophy of play, and that defending Barca would be the fulfillment of a childhood dream, something that naturally stirred the backstage of both institutions, generating speculation about Barcelona's hiring strategy, interviews commenting on his characteristics, and analysis about how his arrival could transform the Blaugrana defensive sector, and at the same time, leaving Real Madrid fans completely outraged. Realizing they were about to lose the dispute for a very high-level player, whose arrival could greatly strengthen any club's defense, but who now seems increasingly close to wearing the blue and garnet shirt, further increasing the anxiety of merengue fans who are already questioning alternatives in the market. Barcelona's interest in Schlatterbeck makes a lot of sense, mainly considering the defensive sector's poor performance this season and the real possibility that Ronald Araujo will leave the club in January, which would force Barcelona to immediately seek a high-level center-back to maintain the squad's competitiveness, and that's where Schlatterbeck appears as one of the best options in the market currently, with quick adaptation capacity, international experience and natural leadership on the field, something Barcelona is looking for to stabilize its defensive line and avoid fragilities that could compromise important results in national and European competitions. Speaking specifically about the player, he is considered one of the most reliable center-backs in German football, with solid experience in the Bundesliga and also in the Champions League, being known for his firmness in duels, aggressiveness in marking, excellent positioning, anticipation capacity and mainly for being very comfortable with the ball at his feet. A fundamental characteristic for any defender who intends to play at Barcelona, since the club's style depends on a clean, safe and extremely technical ball distribution from the defense, allowing attacks to be initiated in an organized way and maintaining possession control, besides fitting perfectly into the post-loss pressing and quick transition model that Hansi Flick loves to implement. Now entering the numbers of the current season, Schlatterbeck has been presenting very solid performance in European competitions, and in 5 Champions League matches, for example, he maintained a pass accuracy rate above 92%, in addition to registering a high number of ball recoveries and showing much efficiency in building plays coming from behind, always seeking vertical passes that break lines and facilitate the work of midfielders, exactly the type of behavior that Hansi Flick looks for in a defender, and that would help immensely in the reorganization of Barcelona's defensive sector, which today lacks consistency, leadership and stability, and would still add tactical experience, area command capacity and versatility to act in different defensive systems, whether in a line of 3 or 2 center-backs, offering solutions both in ball distribution and in covering the full-backs. Tactically speaking, Barcelona has been playing with a high defensive line and with a game model based on ball possession and post-loss pressing, which requires a center-back who reads the game well, who has quick reaction time and who knows how to position himself to avoid counterattacks, and Schlatterbeck is precisely that profile of defender, being able to act as a left-footed center-back in a system with 2 or even 3 center-backs, helping in covering the full-backs, in team compaction, and in structured distribution to midfield, which instantly improves the team's offensive fluidity and still adds an important physical presence for aerial balls and more intense disputes, besides offering experience, maturity and natural leadership, being capable of guiding younger teammates, controlling the defense in pressure moments and keeping the team organized even against high-level opponents. In summary, Barcelona seeks defensive stability, quality in construction and leadership on the field, and Schlatterbeck delivers exactly that, with efficiency, balance, physical strength, tactical intelligence, game-reading capacity, modern center-back style, international experience and leadership that fits perfectly with the club's philosophy. So given all this, I want to know from you, do you support or not the signing of Nico Schlatterbeck? Do you think he would really fit well in Hansi Flick's scheme? Do you believe he is the ideal center-back that Barcelona needs at this moment? Leave it here in the comments that I'll be reading everything, and of course, see you in the next video.